In the eastern region of Burkina Faso, when a drilling team pulled their drill at a depth of 435 meters, black liquid gushed forth. The engineers couldn't believe it. When the analyses were confirmed, news spread quickly. One of Africa's poorest countries possessed billions of barrels of crude oil. Within 24 hours, as CEOs of Western oil giants prepared their private jets, a phone rang in Ibrahim Traoré's office. The caller was the most dangerous man in the world oil market. English script. In the eastern region of Burkina Faso, when a drilling team pulled their drill at a depth of 435 meters, black liquid gushed forth. The engineers couldn't believe it. When the analyses were confirmed, news spread quickly. One of Africa's poorest countries possessed billions of barrels of crude oil. Within 24 hours, as CEOs of Western oil giants prepared their private jets, a phone rang in Ibrahim Traoré's office. The caller was the most dangerous man in the world oil market. Introduction. The sun beat down mercilessly on the makeshift drilling site in Burkina Faso's eastern province of Gourma. What had begun as a routine water exploration project had suddenly transformed into something far more significant. Dr. Aminata Konate, head of Burkina Faso's Geological Survey Department, stared in disbelief at the black substance coating her gloved hands. "Run the tests again," she instructed the technician beside her, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "And call the president's office immediately." 12 hours later, in a secured conference room in Ouagadougou, Ibrahim Traoré studied the geological reports before him. The room was silent except for the hum of air conditioning. Present were only his most trusted advisors, Defense Minister Wedro, Economy Minister Kabore, and Dr. Konate herself. The preliminary estimates suggest a reserve of approximately 3.8 billion barrels, Dr. Konate explained, pointing to a map where the drilling site was marked. If confirmed, this would make Burkina Faso the sixth largest oil reserve holder in Africa. Traoré looked up from the reports. "And the quality?" "Exceptional," Dr. Konate replied. "Low sulfur, light crude, precisely the type that commands premium prices on the international market." Economy Minister Kabore couldn't contain his excitement. "Mr. President, this changes everything. Our annual budget is just over $4 billion. Even at conservative estimates, this oil reserve is worth more than $300 billion. We could transform our country within a generation. Infrastructure, healthcare, education, if we control it," interrupted Defense Minister Wedro, his expression grave. "History tells us that when African nations discover valuable resources, what follows isn't always prosperity." Traoré nodded, well aware of what Wedro was implying. Throughout Africa, the discovery of natural resources had often led to increased foreign interference, political instability, and in many cases, outright conflict. The resource curse was a well-documented phenomenon. "How many people know about this discovery?" Traoré asked. "Currently, only those in this room, the drilling team, and a handful of technicians," responded Dr. Konate. "The site has been secured and classified as a water exploration project. But, Mr. President, such news cannot stay hidden for long." As if on cue, Traoré's secure phone line rang. His security chief, Colonel Dio, rarely used this line except in emergencies. "Mr. President," Dio's voice came through clearly, "our communications monitoring system has detected unusual activity. Multiple encrypted messages have been sent from somewhere in Ouagadougou to Paris, London, and Houston within the last 2 hours, all using terminology consistent with oil exploration." The room fell silent. The news had already leaked. "There's more, sir," Dio continued. "A private jet registered to EnerGlobal Corporation has filed a flight plan from Paris to Ouagadougou, arriving tomorrow morning." Traoré's eyes narrowed. EnerGlobal was one of the world's largest oil conglomerates, known for its aggressive acquisition strategies and close ties to Western intelligence agencies. Its CEO, Victor Durand, had a reputation for obtaining lucrative oil contracts in developing countries through means that rarely benefited the local population. So it begins. Traoré said quietly, looking at each person in the room. From this moment, we are in a race against time. The question is not whether we have oil, but whether it will be a blessing or a curse for Burkina Faso. Just then, his personal phone rang, a number known only to a select few. The screen displayed unknown caller. Traoré answered and put it on speaker. President Traoré, came a smooth, accented voice. Victor Durand here. I believe congratulations are in order for your country's a fortunate discovery. I'm currently on my way to Ouagadougou. I think we have much to discuss about Burkina Faso's bright future. By the next morning, the news had spread throughout the capital. Though no official announcement had been made, rumors of the oil discovery had ignited both excitement and concern among the population. Outside the presidential palace, a small crowd had gathered, some waving signs that read, "Our oil, our future, and no foreign control." Inside, lbrahim Traoré prepared for his meeting with Victor Durand. His team had worked through the night analyzing every aspect of Burkina Faso's legal framework for natural resource management and studying the patterns of EnerGlobal's operations. In other African nations, their standard approach is a 30-70 split, explained Economy Minister Kabore, pointing to the briefing document. 30% for the host country, 70% for EnerGlobal. They package it with promises of jobs and infrastructure development that rarely materialize. In Nigeria, they initially offered better terms, added Dr. Konate, but the contracts contained clauses that eventually reduced the government's share to less than 15%. The environmental damage has been catastrophic, with minimal accountability. Traoré absorbed this information, his expression revealing nothing. And what leverage will Durand bring to this meeting? Defense Minister Ouedraogo cleared his throat. 3 types, Mr. President. Financial, they'll offer immediate cash transfers to our treasury, knowing our economic situation is precarious. Political, they have significant influence in Western capitals that can either support or undermine our government. And if those fail, history suggests they might explore less diplomatic options. The implication hung in the air. Coup, assassinations, and civil unrest had followed resource discoveries in other African nations when leaders had resisted Western corporate interests. Victor Durand has arrived, Mr. President, announced an aide from the doorway. Traoré stood, straightening his military uniform. Remember, we reveal nothing about our intentions. This is merely an exploratory conversation. Victor Durand entered the presidential office with the confidence of someone accustomed to getting what he wanted. Tall, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit that probably cost more than what most Burkinabé earned in a year. He extended his hand with a practiced smile. President Traoré, an honor to meet you at last. Your reputation as a forthright leader precedes you. Mr. Durand, Traoré responded, his handshake firm but brief. Welcome to Burkina Faso. Though I must say, your visit comes with surprising speed and without the usual diplomatic protocols. Durand's smile didn't waver. In business, President Traoré, timing is everything, and I believe we both know why I'm here. Over the next hour, Durand outlined EnerGlobal's proposal, a partnership that would quickly bring Burkina Faso's oil to market. The terms were presented as generous, a 35% share for Burkina Faso, higher than their usual offer, Durand emphasized. Construction of a refinery, 2,000 local jobs, and an immediate signing bonus of $500 million. $500 million transferred to your national treasury within 48 hours of signing, Durand said, leaning forward. Think of what that could do for your country, Mr. President. Traoré listened without interruption, his face revealing nothing. When Durand finished, he simply asked, "And if we were to develop these resources ourselves, or seek partners, with more favorable terms?" Something flashed in Durand's eyes, a momentary break in his composed demeanor. With respect, Mr. President, oil extraction requires expertise and capital that Burkina Faso simply doesn't possess. As for Other partners? He smiled again. I would caution against options that might alarm your traditional allies in the West. I see, said Traoré, rising to indicate the meeting was concluded. We will consider EnerGlobal's proposal along with others. My government will need time to analyze all aspects carefully. Durand stood, momentarily surprised by the abrupt ending. President Traoré, these opportunities are time-sensitive. The global market moves quickly. I had hoped we might reach a preliminary understanding today. Mr. Durand, Traoré replied calmly, Burkina Faso has waited centuries for its resources to benefit its people. We can afford a few more weeks of patience to ensure that happens correctly. As Durand left the palace, his polished exterior had hardened into something colder. In his limousine, he immediately made a phone call. The direct approach didn't work, he said to the person on the other end. Move to Plan B. Over the next week, lbrahim Traoré watched as the pressure mounted from multiple directions. International financial institutions suddenly raised concerns about Burkina Faso's debt sustainability. Western media published articles questioning the stability of Traoré's government. French diplomatic communications took on a noticeably cooler tone. Most concerning were the reports from Colonel Dio about unusual movements of money into the accounts of several military officers and government officials. The pattern was familiar. The groundwork for a potential coup was being laid. During an emergency meeting with his closest advisors, Traoré outlined his strategy. We cannot match EnerGlobal's financial resources or Western political influence, he acknowledged, but we have 3 advantages they don't expect us to use. He pointed to a map of Africa projected on the wall. First, regional solidarity. I've had confidential discussions with leaders of other African nations who have faced similar situations. They've agreed to form a united front with us. Second, he continued, transparency with our own people. Tomorrow I will address the nation, revealing everything about the oil discovery and the external pressures we face. An informed population is harder to manipulate. Defense Minister Ouedraogo looked concerned. And the third advantage, Mr. President. Traoré smiled for the first time in days. The third is that they think we're alone. They don't know about our new partners.